Hello, ITPC. Joshua Stewart, Pipe Up North. Well, it's been cold here in Minnesota the last couple of days. And I know it's going to be getting a lot colder, but it's been, I think it got down into the teens below zero overnight. And it's supposed to warm up for the weekend, but the teens below zero, it's like I know it's going to be getting probably at least 20 degrees colder yet this winter sometime, so Mother Nature must just be giving us a little taste to let us get ready for it when it really gets here. Of course, when it gets that cold out, that's when you find out what's going to break. And my daughter had some issues with her car today that it wouldn't shift for her, which we knew when we bought it that there was some issues with the transmission, and I think I've shared them on here before a little bit, but I thought I could get by with the easy fix. Just did a transmission fluid change, and that actually seemed to take care of it until it gets below zero. Then it seems to act up again. So I mean, I'm not an expert mechanic by any means, but I don't think it's the the transmission itself, but I don't know. Hopefully not anyway. I think it's one of the shift solenoids, which is a little bit of a job to fix, but I think I can do it myself, but that's kind of a stretch for what I feel comfortable taking on. So we'll see. Do a couple more things with it, and if that doesn't take care of it, we're gonna have to do some repairs for. Though, like I said, we knew it had those transmission issues when we bought it, and that was a year and a half ago, and we thought we got them pretty well taken care of, and we got it cheap enough that we figured that if we needed to replace the transmission, we'd still be money ahead. So I guess there's that. So I can't be too disappointed. But like I say, the cold weather, that brings out whatever the issues are. And it's still below zero out right now, but it's supposed to warm up into the upper 20s, I believe, this weekend. So been considering running up north for the weekend. Just kind of button up a few more things that I haven't gotten done for preparation for winter. One of the things I got to do is on the tent. I just got to brace up the roof a little bit so that I can handle a little bit of snow load. So we'll see. I'd like to go up there for the whole weekend, leave on Saturday morning, but I don't know if that's going to happen or not. Well, I'm recording this late Thursday night, so you guys probably won't see this till Friday, but I got my Omega with the, I believe this is the Army mount stem on this and the P-lip. Really like this pipe for a cheaper pipe. It's it's pretty decent. And in it, we got a little bit of Peterson 3Ps. But that's not what I want to talk about. What I do want to talk about is this Janneman, I believe it's Janneman Flake from HU that I got a couple weeks ago. That stuff I've really been liking, and been smoking a lot of it in my Missouri Meerschaum General. And it works really well in there. I smoked it in one of my other pipes earlier tonight, and it was still good, but I know that cob, I don't know if it's just that it's got that deep, narrow bowl, that for that Virginia-based tobacco, that it really does something for it. But so that's something I'll be getting more of, that and the Louisiana Broken. I mean, those are the only two HU. Well, then I got that sample of Director's Cut too, that I got from Will Stronable from Europe. But those are blends that I'm going to be getting more of, I'm pretty sure. That's kind of leading me into some of this whole McBaron Sutliff situation that, I mean, everybody's been talking about a little bit. So I've only been enjoying pipes for a little over a year, you know, just kind of trying to figure out what I'm like. I think my story isn't any different than anybody else's. When you first get into it, you kind of cast a wide net and try everything out there and kind of narrow it back down to find what you really like that you want to cellar deep. I've been having some trouble that it seems like the stuff that I'm liking that I want to cellar deep is going out of production right away. One of them being the Byronic Hero from Ken Byron Venture. It was like right about the time that I just said, yeah, this is something that I'm going to want to have pounds of on hand. He announced that it was going to be no more. So I was fortunate anyway when he did his final batch. I did get at least a few ounces. I didn't get the pounds that I would have wanted, but so that stuff I'll be having, but I'll be saving for special occasions probably. And then now with the whole McBaron Sutliff thing, a lot of these smaller blenders like Ken Byron and I believe Boswell and Country Squire and I'll name your favorite small blender. They all use, not all I shouldn't say, but many of them use some of the Sutliff and McBaron as their base tobaccos in their private blends. So that's leaving a whole lot of uncertainty on what's going to be available going forward. And I'm sure many of you watched our good friend Bradley on Stuff and Things. He sounds like he got an inside scoop on what's going on, and sounds like even some of the existing STG stuff might be on the chopping block over the next couple of years. And the one that kind of caught me by surprise was some of the Petersons even. So, I mean, I would think that the more popular Petersons they're going to hang on to, because I mean they got to be a cash cow for them. But some of them, like this 3Ps that I've started to like, is that something that's going to be on the chopping block? Who knows? So I've been pondering this whole thing a lot more than I should have over the last few days and weeks, and kind of trying to come up with my own personal strategy for what how I'm gonna be deciding on what I'm gonna purchase going forward. As disappointed as I am with some of the things that have come out with what's going to be potentially dropped in the coming years, you know, I'm my first thought is to just, you know, not buy anything from STG anymore, but I don't think that's the right thing either. So what I'm leaning towards, I haven't made a decision yet totally, but some of the STG blends, whether it be the lane stuff or the STG themselves or McBaron, or if they do decide to hang on to any of the Sutliff brands, if they're ones that I know I already like, I'll keep buying them. But I'll probably be doing more focusing on non-STG tobaccos going forward, which I think is part of the reason why HU probably decided to expand to the American market, because there's going to be a vacuum, and there definitely is. So they're trying to fill that gap, which I'm thankful for, because I've really liked all the HU stuff that I've tried so far. But that being said, I think there's still going to be a vacuum for the American made and produced stuff. So I'm going to share a little bit about some thoughts that I had, and I'm going to bring those thoughts back into thoughts on the current situation. So as many of you know, I'm a tool guy. I like my tools. I like my good American made tools. And it was over 15 years ago now when the Peterson, as we're talking about Peterson Manufacturing, that makes vice grips that we all know. We've all used them. They changed their brand name to Irwin, which, I mean, Irwin is a company that's been around for 100 years. And if I understood everything right, Peterson, that made the vice grips, actually bought the Irwin brand and then expanded out. I mean, this was probably in the 80s or 90s, or I don't remember. It's been 10 years since I looked into all this, so I'm just going off the top of my head. And my information may or may not be totally accurate anymore. But anyway, like a lot of these companies do, when they get real big, they look for cross-cutting measures, and one of the things that they found was they figured that they could make the vice grips that have been branded Peterson from DeWitt, Nebraska since, I think it was before World War II that they were making those things. They packed up and left and moved production to China and then rebranded them Irwin rather than Peterson. And at that time, that left a vacuum or void of American made, high quality locking pliers, vice grips. I remember talking with my coworkers at the time that facility in the town in DeWitt, Nebraska, they got so much talented people that were out of work that somebody should come in and hire all those people that worked at the factory and all the engineers, technicians, maintenance people, production people, and start making the vice grip again in DeWitt, Nebraska, and show Irwin what a mistake that they made. This is just talking with guys at work around the water cooler about when we're solving all the world's problems. Well, I just found out within the last couple of months that there was a company that did just that. There, what brand was it? Malco, I believe, which makes hand tools. I mean, they're not, and they're a big player, but they're not, a huge player. They're kind of more for specialty tools, I believe. And they did just that. And they moved into, I think it was into DeWitt, Nebraska, in the same building, hired back a bunch of the people, and spent millions of dollars and rebranded it, because I'm sure there's trademark issues that they couldn't call it a vice grip, but they called it the Eagle Claw. I believe the Eagle Claw. And this was 5 to 10 years ago, probably about 5 years ago when they did this, which in my mind should have been successful, but they must not have marketed it, because I didn't even hear about this until within the last year, and when after they've decided to abandon what they're doing. So that brings me to the whole current McBaron Sutliff, particularly the Sutliff part of the situation, because according to Bradley, everything Sutliff is going to be gone. So right now we're not sitting around the water cooler, but we're all sitting here with our pipes, solving the world's problems. So kind of along that same line is what Malco did with the vice grip factory, if there'd be another company, I don't know what we have left for American companies that are producing tobacco, but Cornell and Deal are probably the biggest ones, and I don't even know if they'd be in a position to basically or open a facility where the Sutliff one was. Maybe not in the same building, but in the same area where they can draw on that talent that was abandoned by STG. And they wouldn't have to go in there with intention of putting STG out of business or anything, because I don't think any of us wants to see that either. But I think we can all agree that competition is good. And I think there's a market for the stuff that STG or that Sutliff was doing that STG doesn't want to mess with. Like I'll kind of bring another thought into this. The company that I work for, they were considered a mid-sized company in their area of business, and there was the big multi-billion-dollar companies that I would consider them like the STGs that just want to make a few products and make lots of them, and not let anybody else into the market. And there's other companies that are the really tiny ones that can only make a couple of very niche specialty products. Well, the company that I worked for, they were kind of in the middle. They could, like our former CEO used to say, that we did the stuff that was too small for the big guys to want to mess with, and the stuff that was too big for the small guys to handle. So, and I think there's a market that Sutliff had that could be fulfilled if there was another company that could step up into that role. And when you're like a smaller mid-sized business, I mean, you can react to what's going on in the market way quicker and easier than the big mega corporations can. Which I've seen that too where I work, is some time ago this medium-sized family-owned business that was, it was still a multi-million-dollar business, got sold to one of the big global conglomerates, and things have went downhill. I think is you got the people that are in charge of everything are thousands of miles away, and all that they look at, I mean, obviously they look at more than just the bottom line, but and any business, obviously the bottom line is the main concern, but how to get to that bottom line from the perspective of somebody thousands of miles away isn't always going to be what's best for that group of people that's making the product. And I've seen in my situation, there's so much red tape in a big business, in a multi-billion-dollar business versus a multi-million-dollar business, it just prevents us from being able to do what we need to do to make them money. So, and yeah, so this whole deal, it's a dead horse. It's been beaten over and over again. But it'd be nice to see some company come in and fill that void that is being left with Sutlef being dissolved. So anyway, kind of a ramble, rant, whatever you want to call it there. So anyway, going forward, I think I'm going to avoid anything new with STG, and anything new that I try will probably be non-STG stuff. Like I will probably be working my way through the HU blends. And probably be expanding the Cornell and Deal made blends in my cellar. Which, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think GLPs, and they're their own company, but Cornell and Deal actually manufactures those tobaccos, I believe. If I understand everything that I've heard and read correctly. Which many of the Cornell and Deal and GLP's blends that I've tried, I've liked. Not all of them, but they're decent enough. So hopefully some of the smaller independent blenders, like especially the one that I found that I've been liking lately with Ken Byron Ventures, that he can be able to source the components that he needs to continue, even if we may lose some of the favorites. And he's come up with some amazing stuff, so hopefully he can come up with some more that are using base components from other companies, whatever they may be. And same with, Boswell's and Country Squire and whoever else may be out there doing their own blends. So anyway, been rambling long enough. We're pushing a half hour here again. So I thought I was bad when I was running over 20 minutes, and now they're pushing a half hour lately for videos, but oh well, it is what it is. So, and hopefully if I, shifting gears now, if I do get up north this weekend, I can maybe do a short video from up there. But like I've mentioned previously, the internet availability on the phone is hit and miss up there, so it'll probably wait until Sunday night when I get home before it would get posted, or if I happen to go into town and get some Wi-Fi or something, and if I happen to go someplace for a while. So with that, I think I'll probably call this video good. Oh yeah, we're over 30 minutes now. Sorry about that, but oh well. If you're here yet, I appreciate it. This is Joshua Stewart, Pipe Up North. You have a good day.